Sometimes the loneliest moment isn't when you're alone. It's when you're sitting with people who genuinely like you. They laugh at your jokes. They include you. They care about you. But inside, something feels strangely distant. Like you're watching the moment from a few steps outside yourself. You should feel connected. But instead, you feel separate. And the confusing part is this. Why does loneliness sometimes appear exactly where connection is supposed to exist? 2. Problem deep dive. You might notice it in small moments. A friend compliments you. You smile, but it feels slightly uncomfortable. Someone invites you somewhere because they enjoy your company. But a quiet voice in your mind asks, why me? Or maybe it happens during conversations. Everyone else seems relaxed. But your mind is quietly scanning the room. Did you say something strange? Are you talking too much? Are you being interesting enough? So instead of experiencing the moment, you're managing it. Visual, person sitting in a group but looking slightly distant. Psychologists sometimes call this self-monitoring. It's when your attention turns inward, constantly checking how you're being perceived. Instead of feeling connection, you're performing connection. And performance is exhausting. But the deeper problem isn't just social anxiety. It's something more subtle. When people genuinely like you, it clashes with a story your brain quietly learned a long time ago. A story about how connection works. And when reality doesn't match that story, your brain doesn't relax. It gets suspicious. Which creates a strange emotional paradox. The more someone accepts you, the more uncertain you might feel. And that uncertainty quietly turns into loneliness. But the real question is, where did this pattern begin? 3. Reframe. Here's the important part. This doesn't mean you're broken. And it doesn't mean you're incapable of connection. In many cases, it means your brain learned a very specific survival strategy. One that once helped you navigate relationships. Human brains are shaped by patterns. Especially patterns of emotional safety. If your early relationships required you to earn attention by being helpful, impressive, or easy to be around, your brain learned something subtle. Connection isn't automatic. Connection is something you maintain. Like balancing a fragile object. Visual, hands carefully balancing a glass sphere. So when people simply like you, without conditions, your brain doesn't immediately trust it. Because unconditional acceptance doesn't match the rulebook it learned. Instead of relaxing into connection, your brain keeps monitoring the situation. Just in case something changes. And that constant monitoring creates emotional distance. Not because you don't want connection, but because your brain never learned that connection can be stable. Which leads to the deeper mechanism behind this feeling. 4. Psychological mechanism. Inside your brain, several systems shape how safe connection feels. One of the most important is the attachment system. This system develops early in life. Its job is simple. Figure out how relationships work. If connection was unpredictable growing up, your brain built a model that says attention can disappear. So it stays alert. Visual, abstract brain animation with glowing pathways. Neuroscience research shows that the brain's threat detection system, especially the amygdala, becomes more active when social acceptance feels uncertain. Even in friendly environments. In simple terms, your brain treats relationships like weather. If the forecast has always been unpredictable, you carry an umbrella everywhere. Even when the sky looks clear. Here's a helpful mental model. Imagine your brain has two modes. Experience mode and evaluation mode. Experience mode lets you feel moments as they happen. Evaluation mode constantly asks, am I doing this right? People who feel lonely around people who like them often get stuck in evaluation mode. Because the brain believes connection requires management. So while everyone else is experiencing the moment, you're analyzing it. And analysis quietly interrupts connection. But the interesting part is this. Your brain learned this pattern to protect you. Which means the solution isn't forcing yourself to be social. The real shift happens when you gently retrain how your brain interprets connection. And there are a few psychological principles that make that possible. 5. Practical framework. Step 1. Notice when you switch into performance mode. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to moments when your mind begins evaluating yourself in social situations. Thoughts like, am I being interesting enough? Did that sound awkward? Visual, notebook with a few thoughts written. This works because metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts, reduces activity in the brain's threat circuits. In simple terms, noticing the pattern weakens it. Example. You're talking with friends and suddenly feel tense. Instead of trying to fix it, you quietly label it. Performance mode. Just naming it helps your brain step out of it. Step 2. Shift attention outward. Your brain can't fully monitor yourself and connect with others at the same time. So deliberately shift attention outward. Notice small details. Tone of voice. Facial expressions. The rhythm of conversation. This activates the brain's social engagement system, which helps regulate anxiety. Example. During a conversation, focus on understanding the other person's story rather than evaluating your response. Curiosity replaces self-monitoring. And connection becomes easier. Step 3. Let small silences exist. People who feel responsible for maintaining connection often rush to fill every pause. But silence is not a threat. It's a natural part of communication. Visual, quiet room with sunlight through a window. From a neuroscience perspective, brief pauses allow the brain's default mode network to process emotional meaning, which actually deepens connection. Example. Next time a conversation pauses, resist the urge to immediately fill it. Take a breath. Let the moment exist. Often, the conversation naturally continues. Step 4. Allow yourself to be slightly imperfect. Perfection in social situations creates distance. Because it turns interaction into performance. Psychologists call this impression management fatigue. When you allow small imperfections, you activate something powerful, authentic signaling. Example. Admit when you forgot something. Laugh at a small mistake. Say, I'm not sure how to explain this. These small moments signal safety to other people. And paradoxically, they make connection stronger. Step 5. Practice receiving, not just giving. Many people who feel lonely around others are excellent at supporting everyone else. But they rarely let themselves receive attention. The brain forms connection through reciprocity. Not one-sided emotional effort. Visual, two hands passing light between them. Example. If someone compliments you, try a simple response. Thank you. No deflection. No explanation. Just receiving. At first it may feel uncomfortable. But over time, your brain learns that acceptance doesn't require performance. 6. Integration. All of these ideas come back to one simple mental model. Connection isn't something you perform. It's something you experience. Imagine connection like sitting beside a quiet river. If you constantly analyze the water, you miss the sound of it. But if you simply sit there, the experience naturally unfolds. Visual, slow-moving river or waves. Your brain learned to analyze relationships for safety. Which made sense at some point. But now, slowly shifting from evaluation to experience changes how connection feels. Not instantly, but gradually. And one day, you might notice something subtle. You're sitting with people. They're talking. You're listening. And for a moment, you're just there. No analysis. No performance. Just presence. 7. Quiet, empowering, close. Loneliness around people who like you doesn't mean you're disconnected. It often means your mind is working very hard to protect connection, even when protection is no longer necessary. The shift isn't about becoming more social. It's about letting moments happen without constantly measuring them. Visual, person walking slowly at sunset. Because real connection rarely appears. When we're trying to manage it, it appears in the quiet spaces, where we finally allow ourselves to simply exist. And sometimes, the distance you feel in relationships isn't a lack of connection. It's just the space between performance and presence. And the moment you stop performing, that space slowly begins to close.